Well, I do want to give enough time for our keynote speaker, if you will, tonight, and that is Marc Clinch. Marc is is well, the facilities director for Osceola County Public Schools, and he brings a rich background in building knowledge and experience, but he's also an advocate for the environment, and those two things came together in a wonderful project that he spearheaded. So we're going to hear from Marc on how Osceola created this wonderful project and how the rest of the public school districts in the state could benefit by doing what they've done in Osceola. So Marc, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mary. So while I am sharing my screen, I want to say thank you to all the League of Women Voter volunteers. There is no step that is too small. Every step does help to move us forward. And it's all about small, deliberate steps. And I am trying to, it worked during our practice. Okay, here we go. So this is about reducing operational costs through high performance school buildings. High performance equals ultra low energy usage. And the photo is of Neo City Academy. That's the first zero energy school in the state of Florida. So just a groundbreaking project. And why are we talking about this? Next slide. School districts spend $6 billion each year on energy, second to salaries. So what we spend on power is a substantial amount. And gee, wouldn't it be nice if we could spread these operational dollars elsewhere in school districts, maybe for paying higher salaries to teachers, more technology. And this does not apply just to schools. This is for any commercial building. So I'm sure that lots of businesses could stand to move those operational savings elsewhere where there's tremendous need. I know in our school district there is. Next slide. So good afternoon. Again, thank you for your attention. My name is Marc Clinch. I'm the Chief Facilities Officer with Osceola Schools. And what we're going to talk about this afternoon is what is a high performance building, the why. We're going to talk about cost premiums and ROI, some terminology, demystifying the details of high performance, and talking about a better and more efficient way to do things. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not that tough to do. It starts with shifting the paradigm, with a change in mindset. Next slide. So this is a prototype, and the top photo is the prototype built in 2017. It was built to traditional standards. And we recently built that prototype again, in fact, on the same campus. But this time, we fine-tuned that prototype to high-performance building standards. And what did we do to achieve that? We tightened the building envelope to minimize air leakage. And we right-sized the mechanical system, the HVAC system. So high-performance buildings save 65 to 80%. This building will save us, our new building that we landed in 2020, just this last summer, is projected to save $14,000. And this is a conservative estimate. I believe that once we have the opportunity to study it, and we will do a data collection over the next 12 months to study it and make sure that it's performing to our expectations. I'm sure that it will exceed our expectations, because that has been the case with our other high performance buildings. And we are now on our fourth project exercising high performance. In fact, based on our successes with high performance buildings, we have decided that all new construction going forward will be high performance. Next slide. And so again, the why. Well, because buildings consume 40% of our energy in the United States. And at Osceola Schools, 90% of our utility costs are electricity alone. So that's significant and a tremendous opportunity for school districts. Next slide. This is the premiums for Neo City Academy, 5.2% premium on the cost, on the overall cost, and that produced a return on investment of less than 5 years. We had originally projected 6 years, but as I mentioned earlier, now that we're having the opportunity to study these buildings and measure metrics, we're seeing that they are exceeding our original expectations. 5.2%, a 4.5-year return on investment for a building that will be there for 40 or 50 years. That's phenomenal. That's a no-brainer. And if this is done right, it is minimal premiums. Now, there are some firms that will tell you it will cost much more, and it's simply not possible. If these are the people that you're speaking with for these type of projects, you're not talking to the right people, because there are design firms and construction managers that have been successful with these type of buildings. Next slide. This is the premium when the solar component is added to Neo City Academy. So that premium goes up just a bit to 9.1%, and the ROI extends just a bit to less than 8 years. Again, our projections were higher, but we're seeing and from studying our building that it is exceeding our expectations. In fact, this school also has an energy dashboard, and I love looking at it at this time of day. It's about 4:25 p.m. And when I go to the data section, I can see that our building is currently consuming 18.1 kilowatts. However, the sun is still shining, and we're producing 29 kilowatts. We're producing more than we're consuming. And what's really neat about this time of day, keep in mind, this is when peak rates kick in. So not only are we saving on our energy, we're hedging the higher power rates. So that's a double win. Next slide, please. So what I really want to amplify on this slide is the high performance savings is 77% alone. That's before installing the first solar panel, and the remaining 23% with the solar component. So this points out that high performance is the cake. Solar is the icing on the cake. So it all starts with high performance. If your goal is zero energy, whether that be net zero energy, net positive energy, it starts with high performance. Why? Because on our roof, if we would have constructed Neo City Academy to traditional standards, we would not have had enough roof space to get that building to zero energy. But by first driving down the energy use intensity, and I'll talk about EUI a little further in the presentation, we were able to easily size our solar array on the roof. Next slide, please. This is our second high performance that we just completed last summer. It's the Osceola Business Academy. Less than 27,000 square feet, yet this building will save 14,000. And again, that's projected. That's a conservative projection. Less than 1%. We rounded it up to 1% premium. Return on investment, 5.3 years. A very quick ROI for a building that will be there for many years, and year after year will continue to generate operational savings. Next slide. This is our current project that's in construction, Canoe Creek K8. Now, what I'd like to point out is this school has all the whistles and bells. It has the kitchen, the cafeteria, the gymnasium, the media center, 1.5% premium. That's it. It is possible. Again, you need to be talking to the right firms, and you can get there when you're talking to the right people that are motivated to achieve the owner's objectives for high performance. ROI, less than 3 years. That's phenomenal. In my many years of performing life cycle cost analysis, anything that was 5 years or less was considered a no-brainer because of the longevity of school buildings being the average rule of thumb 50-year life cycle. This is a no-brainer. Next slide. So some definitions. What is high performance versus zero energy? High performance are buildings that have an ultra low energy usage. There is no solar. This is before installing the first solar panel. So zero energy is divided into net zero and net positive. So net zero energy means that you are producing the same amount that you are consuming on an annual basis, so that the two zero out. Whereas net positive means that you're producing more than you're consuming. And at Neo City Academy, we are net positive. We are tracking towards our last 2 months for our 12-month run period, data collection period, so that we can receive our zero energy verified status. It's currently being tracked by the new Bldgs Institute as zero energy emerging. So another 2 months of data collection, and we're going to be there. This will be an official, verified, certified building. So zero energy buildings are buildings that incorporate high performance strategies plus the renewables gets you to zero energy. So high performance plus solar equals zero energy. Next slide. So here are some examples of some of the components that comprise a high performance building. The site and building orientation, those are important factors. The building materials are important. However, in our case, in all our projects, we have used traditional construction materials, tilt-up construction, which is very typical for school construction and commercial construction. Energy modeling is very important to determine where you're landing with your energy use intensity and being able to hold that design professional accountable. Highly efficient and right-sized HVAC. So these are some of the examples of high performance. So what does it then take to get to zero energy? Adding the photovoltaic panels. That's the difference between high performance and zero energy. Getting to zero energy is the final push to get to that remaining energy use intensity. So if you drive your energy use intensity down to say 25, then you're adding a solar array that compensates or captures that remaining 25 so that at the end of the year, net zero energy, those two will balance each other out. They will cancel each other out. Next slide. So this is a detail at our tilt panels. These are concrete tilt panels. And what I've circled is what we've always done in the past. One backer rod, one caulk joint. And I can't tell you how many times I've walked around completed schools 2 years or less after completion, and this caulk joint is already failing. What does that mean? The building is leaking air. So with high performance, tightening that building envelope means providing a belt and suspenders approach. So instead of doing one thing, we're doing 4 things, so that as that caulk joint fails, there are 3 other things, the suspenders, the belt and suspenders, to ensure that that building remains tight and the air leakage is minimal. And the photos show the step-by-step to apply this joint detail. Next slide. Not only are high performance buildings more energy efficient, but they also serve to improve student performance and are healthier buildings as well. So one of the things I want to talk about is a DOAS. That's a dedicated outdoor air system. As opposed to recycling air through the building, a DOAS constantly takes in outside air, it's treating it, and it's applying that fresh air in the building. So this is actually a post-COVID-19 recommendation from ASHRAE, which is the American Society of Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning. They are the authority overseeing everything having to do with HVAC. So as a result of COVID, this is what they're now recommending, that building owners install dedicated outdoor air systems. So we were ahead of our time. Another thing that we do in our school is we monitor CO2, and we're able to adjust those CO2 rates. We are all human beings, we expel CO2. And when those CO2 rates get too high, they're actually detrimental to performance. In fact, the military has studied the effects of CO2 on pilots. And when those CO2 levels get up to about 2,500 parts per million, pilots were not able to perform basic maneuvers. So this does affect performance. In our school, we're maintaining our CO2 levels from between 700 to 1,000 parts per million because we want to do everything that we possibly can to improve the performance of our students. Natural daylighting. There are many studies there, that point to the fact that natural daylighting improves student performance. It reduces employee and student absenteeism. There are many benefits for natural daylighting. So this school incorporates so many features that improve student performance, create a healthier building, and keep in mind that this building is a living lab. It is a STEM-focused high school, science, technology, engineering, and math, so that we are building things in, like the energy dashboard that I spoke of earlier. All our students have access to that energy dashboard, and they routinely utilize the dashboard to complete classroom assignments. Rather than talking about widgets, they're talking about kilowatt hours, and etc. Next slide, please. What is EUI? Energy use intensity. It's everything in the building that consumes power. It's your space heating, your lighting, your HVAC, and it is a measurement of kBTUs divided by year that gets you to a number. And typically in typical buildings, that number is 55 to 65 EUI. Next slide, please. Well, in our case, we've been able to lower that EUI substantially below that 55 or 65. The national average is 68. In our school districts, it's 65, which is what has driven us to pursue energy efficiency strategies. In the state of Florida, it's 55. In our case, our Neo City Academy, 16 EUI. So with that small remaining EUI, we were able to apply a solar array so that we could get that building not only to net zero energy, but net positive. In our recent Osceola Business Academy, we actually set a goal of 25. And we were actually able to bring that down to 22. Our goal for Neo City was 20. Our goal for Canoe Creek K-8 is 25. And as I mentioned, that project is currently in construction. So I suspect that as we do our final measurements, that we will be able to get that below 25. Next slide. So again, the major components of high performance is first, air leakage. You have to find ways to minimize that air leakage. And it's the voice of your father telling you to shut the door. He's not paying to cool the outside. But in essence, this is what we're doing every day in our buildings. if we just tighten up those buildings and then right size the mechanical system, we can significantly reduce our energy footprint. And that means substantial operational savings. Next slide. There are so many times that I've heard from our design professionals and our construction managers and subcontractors, well, we're going to keep doing it the same way we've always done it because this is the way we've always done it. High performance and zero energy is a paradigm shift. This language is very dangerous. We need to find ways to improve. Building science is a real thing. And when it's applied appropriately, when it's understood by your design professionals and construction managers, there is so much synergy that can be accomplished. And ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you, there are many design professionals and construction managers that will tell you otherwise. And if that's their story, you're talking to the wrong people, because there are firms out there, design professionals, construction managers, that have been successful with these types of projects. There are thousands of verified high performance and zero energy projects in the United States. We can do it too here in the state. We've done it. We've done it at Neo City Academy, and we're continuing to do it at the Osceola Business Academy, at our Canoe Creek K8. We've just put our next high school into design, and all that new construction will be high performance. We can do this, ladies and gentlemen. Next slide. These are an example of some of the awards and recognition from Neo City Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not about the awards. Really, this was never the intent. However, all these awards and recognition have come along. We're on our 11th award as of last Friday. We were just awarded the American Institute of Architects Project of the Year Award. About 3 weeks ago, we were awarded the Associated Builders and Contractors 2020 Project of the Year. These are really big projects for Central Florida. But what's great about the awards is that it confirms to us that we're on the right track. Again, our goal was not to earn a bunch of awards. It was to do things better, to do it the right way. And the recognition, my God, we've been published now 19 times in every major trade publication. And now we're starting to be published on our next projects. In January, the Central Florida magazine will be feature profile of the Osceola Business Academy. So this is good PR for owners, for school districts, any owner, whether it's an office building or a medical use. Good things will come when you do this. Next slide. So our call to action, in cooperation with the League of Women Voters, is we are going to be canvassing this presentation and asking school district leadership to commit to a pilot project. Try one, see how you like it, try it on, see how it fits. To assign a district champion to oversee, to make sure that stakeholders remain committed along the way. There were several times during our design process where various school district stakeholders came in the room and said, you know, this is not the way we've done it before. We just want to keep doing it the same way we've always done it. With all due respect, sir, we are going to do things differently this time. And we are so glad that we stuck to our guns. So having a champion that can keep everyone true to the process is very important. That a school be identified, preferably a prototype, because that design already exists. So it's the simple matter of fine-tuning that prototype, tightening all the building connections, those joints at the walls, from the floor to wall connection, the wall to ceiling connections, attention to detail for how the windows and doors are going in to make sure that those are sealed properly, and then right sizing the mechanical system and looking at the lighting system as well. Setting high performance criteria and verification testing. So the criteria that I've previously recommended, and I think it's very achievable, is an EUI of 25 or less. And like all our projects that we have completed thus far have been below that, and an air leakage maximum of 0.20 cubic feet per minute per square foot. And that probably doesn't mean a lot to the viewers today, but in comparison, at Neo City Academy, we achieved a 0.029 air infiltration. We exceeded that 0.20 by 85%. In our most current project at the Osceola Business Academy, we achieved our worst reading was a 0.046. So we were about 80% better than this criteria. It can be done. It's not that hard. It's about attention to detail and writing this criteria into the design RFQ, the request for qualifications. That's how we did it. That's how we started our process. We now have a design standard, which means this is a standard across our district. And all designers coming in automatically know any new construction must achieve our owner's criteria. That a school be constructed and evaluated to compare it against the criteria. And 6, so that the champion reports results to leadership. And finally, leadership decides if expansion of high performance is warranted. This is what we're recommending. And with that, I will open it up for Q&A.
Mark, do you want me to stop sharing, or do you want to keep this up?
Hi, this is Steve Murphy. I want to thank Mark for his presentation. He came to our Manatee School Board in February and gave an overview of what you just heard. They weren't quite as far along, but he gave an overview, and the school board then voted after that overview 3-2 to build, to look at going with, to investigate in the new elementary school they were building, that they would have a 25 I forget the term, EFI. Yeah, so that was passed, and then I learned at a July meeting of the school board, a work meeting, they had a presentation from the architect or the contractors who they had selected originally to do the building, and they were to come back with a proposal to meet the 25 EFI. Well, their proposals were all 8% premium, 8% plus premium, and the ROI on all of it was 25 years. So what Mark says is really critical. There are people that know how to do this, but if you ask a person who's never done it before, they're not going to be able to do it. So when you're working with the school boards, you really have to get them to get out of their business as usual shell. Now I'm going to serve on the strategic planning committee that's looking at school construction and energy efficiency. And as one of the things that we're to look at is the Osceola issue, because they've been able to do it, and our guys came back with an EFI of 55, and that's what we're going with, because it's better than the national average of 65. So it's going to take a lot of energy to make this happen. This is not easy to change the way people think. But Mark has really demonstrated that you save a ton of money and you have a better product. And so you just have to work at that. And I know it's going to take a while, but I'm committed that the next school that that we build here in Manatee County will actually go with a firm that knows how to do what Mark has said he's done. So.
And that's a great summary, Stephen. Thank you for that. You know, I think the biggest challenge that Manatee County Public Schools had with this issue is that they had already selected their designer.
Right.
And then they attempted to put the high performance criteria in place, the 25 EUI that I had recommended to them, and the 0.25 cubic foot per minute per square foot air leakage.
Right.
Unfortunately, they had already selected that designer and that prototype. However, I strongly believe that that designer missed a real opportunity. You know, they could have said, you know, we can figure this out. We can make this work. And if they would have done that, they would have now entered a niche market where they would have been able to offer and market that product to many other owners. Because I will tell you that this is the trend moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think that the Manatee County School Board, their hearts are in the right place, but the way in which the information was provided to them, there were multiple cost options. And as you mentioned, Steve, I think the lowest ROI was 25 or 27 years. It was really, you know, it put the school board in a very difficult situation. But I hope that they will continue to learn and improve how they do things. But I really think it's going to start with their facilities department having a champion, because I think it sounded to me like the facilities department was very satisfied with that 55 EUI. And again, a lost opportunity. They could have got something much lower and within a very minimal premium with a very quick return on investment. I'm not quite sure how those numbers were pulled together. I'm a little bit baffled from it, but this is possible. There are many, many firms, design firms, construction managers that are able to be successful with these types of projects and remain profitable and provide schools to school districts that perform very well. And also keep in mind, here in the state of Florida, the Department of Education governs school construction by a formula called cost per student station. And we must comply to an index, and that index is broken down by elementary, middle school, K-8 is the second category, and the final category is high school. So there are maximums set for each of those categories. So we're required by statute, it's the law, that we stay below those cost per student station cost caps. And in all the examples that I have cited, we have been able to do that. In fact, with Neo City Academy, not only were we well below the high school cap, we were below the middle school cap. We were just $1,000 above the elementary school cap. So it goes to show, when you have the right players, the right design professionals, you have to be talking, you're absolutely right, Steve, you have to be talking to the right people. And they can be successful with these types of projects. We have several successes under our belt. I am thoroughly convinced that this is possible. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Mark, we have several questions in the chat. We've got Dave Silman who's saying, can you talk about demand charges from your utility and your net metering policy?
Okay, so, and this is something that relates to what Angela spoke of earlier, net metering. So various power utilities provide different net metering rates. And in our county, we have 3 power providers, being Duke Energy, KUA, Kissimmee Utility Authority, and OUC, Orlando Utility Commission. And the service area that we built Neo City Academy within was in the KUA service area. And when we first, and fortunately, KUA is a regional utility. They're not a utility that's overseen, regulated by the PSC. So there was some latitude with what they're able to do. So when we first approached KUA with this project, they were very excited about it. And we told them that we wanted to net meter, because we still want to be hooked to the grid, because there will be times where we're not producing enough of our own power and we're going to have to supplement from the grid. But then those other times where we're going to have those large windows of PV generation and dump all that power back on the grid in the form of a credit. Well, that credit was originally proposed at 2 to 3 cents per kilowatt hour versus the 13 to 14 cents that we pay. So that was the first discussion point. And it actually took 3 meetings with KUA to get them. We ultimately ended up anywhere from 7.5 to 9 cents, depending on whether we're on normal rates, shoulder rates, or peak rates. So those peak rates, during those peak rate times, we're paying 14 cents, but all that power we're dumping on the grid at peak time, we're being credited at 9 cents, but a minimum of 7.5 cents. So it's not 100%, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And we end up with a very minimal monthly utility bill. I monitor those as well. And those utility bills come in at anywhere from $800 to $1,200 a month. That's what I've seen so far. So, and our school is slightly positive, net positive. Now there's a third power provider, Orlando Utility Commission. They offer 100% credit for everything that you put on the grid. And I am really excited for our next opportunity to build a school in the OUC service area. And we have a school mitigation agreement that's currently working through our school board for our next K-8 that will be in the OUC service area. So we will, we're going to, all our new construction, as I mentioned, going forward will be high performance. And we will pursue zero energy where we are properly incentivized to do so. And with this next project in the OUC service area, that's proper incentive to pursue zero energy. Great question. Thank you.
We were getting close to the top of the hour, but I did want to reinforce and amplify what Deidre has been saying about, this is a message, and I think a lot of you are in total agreement, that we want to really, share with school districts around the state. We have a goal to take the message to the top, to the 5 biggest school districts with the biggest construction budgets, that they have. So
the 5 largest school programs.
And certainly want to take the message beyond that group also. So Mark, you've got plans for reaching out to some of the organizations in the state?
Yes, absolutely. So we are currently trying to get into Orange County Public Schools. Deidre has been very instrumental in making that connection for us. We're also working to get into Miami-Dade. They have a very large school expansion program, so lots of opportunities there. Hillsborough, Palm Beach, and Broward County as well. They also have substantial school expansion programs.
But I know Mark is ready and willing to talk to other folks too.
Absolutely. And I will speak to all owners for, if they have plans for commercial construction, I'm happy to speak with all owners. But right now our target audience is school districts, because this is so beneficial for schools. There are so many opportunities for schools that do high performance and zero energy construction.
There was a good question that was asked, which is, do you have designers that you can recommend as being comfortable And, you know, the niche designers that you described earlier to Steve,
Yeah.
you have a list of 3 or 4 of those that
Well,
some of our volunteers could share it fast, because I noticed that that was an interesting question.
would you like me to share those now?
Why not? That was from Devon Quirolo.
Okay.
Um,
So
yes.
the first project, Neo City Academy, our designer was Little Diversified Architectural Consultants, Little Architects. And don't let the name fool you. They have big capabilities, Little Architects. I highly recommend them. They were a complete pleasure to work with. And Little has a successful track record with high performance and zero energy. They did a phenomenal job on Neo City Academy. They had a great MEP, mechanical electrical plumbing engineer, that is also very seasoned with high performance and zero energy. We also had a very seasoned construction manager on that project that had been, had a successful track record with high performance zero energy, and that was Gilbane Building Company. So the second project that we did, Osceola Business Academy, the design professional nor the construction manager had any experience with high performance. And we were easily able to pull them through. But it was about them clearly understanding the expectations for the project. We set the criteria as the RFQ went out. So the selection was clearly understood as, when they presented that this was going to be a high performance construction project design. And they did a great job. They exceeded our expectations. The construction manager was Wharton Smith. Again, they had no previous high performance experience, and they were able to be successful on this project. Like I said, we're going to be published in January, our first publication on this project, and I'm sure many more will come. So the current project at Canoe Creek K-8, and a K-8 is a middle school, an elementary school with middle school components. So it has the gymnasium, all the amenities of a middle school. And the design professional on that project is Ziskovich Architects. And thus far, they've been very receptive to meeting our expectations. Our construction manager is Pirtle Construction. And, we're in the first phases of construction. We're monitoring it very closely. Our champion is very engaged with that project to ensure that everyone remains on track with the high performance objectives. And the project that we just put into design will also be high performance, and that's what BRPH Architects. They have a they're a successful track record with high performance and zero energy as well. And the construction manager that was selected for that project was also Pirtle Construction. So that's a handful of design professionals and construction managers that know how to do this, that are receptive. And I think that's the biggest part is being open-minded and willing to shift the paradigm. It's not easy. It's a little bit more work, but the results are well worth the additional effort for these types of projects.
Mark, would you please share your email address? Because I know a lot of people, we don't have time to get to all the questions. Sure. I know there'll be more questions. What is your email, please?
Okay, I'm Marc, M-A-R-C .Clinch, C-L-I-N-C-H, @ Osceola Schools, no space, .net, O-S-C-E-O-L-A schools, plural, .net. Marc.Clinch @ OsceolaSchools.net.
So
you.
I would like to suggest, Mary, because we do have a lot of questions for Mark, which is wonderful, you know, that we put you back on next month, and also give our volunteers, you know, like Steve and Manatee, an opportunity to share their comments, because at the end of the day, it's consistent messaging. And Steve was a perfect example of that, how he did that in Manatee, and he got them to take the first step, which was to, you know, with a vote of 3-2, say, yes, we want to, you know, pursue this. Now, we all know, because we're members of the League of Women Voters, how long progress takes. But it will only happen with citizen voices and consistent messaging. So I think we need to learn as we go forward what the talking points that work best are. I suspect there'll be, and Pat Drago had to leave the call. She used to be the head of construction for Volusia. And of course, Mark is very familiar with this, but saving money and a healthier learning environment. I'm sure there are others, and as we move forward, just like we did with our solar co-ops, and I hope we continue to do with our solar co-ops, we'll learn together what is successful. But this is not hitting a home run the first time you talk to your school board. This is hard work, going to those school board meetings once or twice a month with 2 or 3 of your best friends, and you know, carrying the gospel of energy efficient construction and saving money and all of these things. So this is just the first taste that you are all getting of Marc Clinch, but he is with us for the long term, and this will be a long journey of 1,000 miles. This is just the first step. So and Mark has put a lot of work into this, and so has Mary and Maxine, and we recently added Pat Drago to the team. And those of you who are on the front lines talking to your school board, you guys are the key part of the team to get us in there so Mark can introduce these exciting results. Really exciting.
Deidre,
Ask
that
really
is so
quickly.
well put. Very well put. Volunteers, don't be discouraged. Be persistent. We really do appreciate you reaching out to your community members, your community leaders, and passing our message. And I'm happy to you know, take the torch and continue to run to present to them, or whatever it takes. Small, deliberate steps is going to continue to push us forward. We're doing great things. Keep up the great work. When people tell you that it can't be done, disagree with them. Tell them that it can and it will be done. And we're going to keep marching forward, and we're going to keep at it and keep doing good things for our state.
Hey, Mark, somebody asked, can they share your presentation with their school board? But
Sure.
is that how we want to do it, or?
I would prefer to present, because I feel like if it's forwarded to a, you know, it'll go to their facilities department. They will pre-debate it to their leadership and tell their school board members and school district leadership 100 reasons why it can't be done. So I would prefer to get in front of the school boards, the school district leadership, so that we can convince them that this is something that they need to look at. And then they can then turn to their facilities departments and say, go make this happen.
Yeah, and just to share, so we're struggling with that with Orange County Public Schools. We keep going to the superintendent and our school board contacts, and they're like, well, just talk to our facilities department, who, you know, is kind of like quicksand. So
Right.
we just have to keep pushing to get in front of the school board and the superintendent, but we'll get there. It just, you know, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You know, it's just persistence. So.
Well, this is such an exciting new component to what we've been able to focus on here. It goes along so naturally with solar, the electric vehicle push, and now I say we have 3 tracks. We have, and this is the high performance building is our new track, which, you know, when you marry it with solar, that's a complete home run. So this has been so exciting. I'm so glad you all had a chance to hear Mark. And Steve, thank you for kind of bringing Mark to our attention several months ago. That's the way this happened. So, and if you all have ideas about future programs that you'd like to hear, let us know. But we're going to have Mark back for next month so we can dig into this topic even more. So it is now 5:08. I want to let you all go for the evening. So thank you very much. And Maxine and Dieter and I are going to hang around. But thank you all and good night.